everyone, it's me, Steve. Today we're going to hear a story about a boy named Max. Max loved adventures more than anything. He dreamed of exploring faraway lands and finding hidden treasures. Max lived in a big old house with a secret attic. At least it seemed like a secret. No one ever went up there. It was dusty and full of cobwebs. Max thought it would be the perfect place to find an adventure.
This is going to be great.
One hot summer day, Max decided to explore the attic. He wanted to find something exciting, maybe a pirate's hat or a treasure chest. Max's eyes sparkled with excitement. What do you think Max will find in the attic? The attic was dark and mysterious. The only light came from a small window. Dust particles danced in the thin beams of sunlight. Max carefully stepped inside. He didn't want to knock anything over. He looked around. Old furniture covered in sheets loomed in the shadows. Trunks piled high seemed to whisper stories of the past. Max's heart beat faster with each step he took. He felt like a real explorer.
Wow.
Suddenly, something shiny caught his eye. It was a small golden compass lying on top of a dusty old trunk. Max gasped. He carefully picked it up. The compass was cold to the touch. It felt magical. What do you think is so special about this compass? Max turned the compass over in his hands. It looked like a regular compass, but there was something strange about it. The needle wouldn't stay still. It spun around and around, as if it couldn't decide which way to point.
That's funny. I've never seen a compass do that before.
He gave it a little shake, but the needle just kept spinning. It was as if it had a mind of its own. Suddenly, the needle stopped spinning. It pointed directly at a dusty old map, tucked into the corner of the trunk.
A map?
Max carefully pulled it out and unrolled it. The map was old and yellowed, but the lines were still clear. It showed a winding path through a forest, leading to a big red X. Could this be a treasure map? Max's eyes widened in excitement. He traced the path on the map with his finger. It started in a place that looked very familiar. It looked a lot like his backyard.
I think I know where this is.
He shouted, unable to contain his excitement. He couldn't believe his luck. He had a real treasure map and it started right in his own backyard. This was the adventure he had been waiting for. Max held the compass tight. The needle was still pointing at the map, as if urging him to follow it.
All right, compass, lead the way.
He was ready for anything. Are you ready to go on an adventure with Max?
Max knew that every adventurer needs supplies. He ran to his room and grabbed his trusty backpack. He carefully packed everything he thought he might need. A flashlight, a magnifying glass, some snacks, because adventuring is hungry work, and a bottle of water. He swung the backpack onto his shoulders. It felt heavier than usual, but Max didn't mind. He was ready for anything. He carefully placed the map and the compass in his pockets. He didn't want to lose them. Okay, I'm ready, Max said, taking a deep breath. He raced back to the attic, eager to start his adventure. He glanced at the compass one last time. The needle was steady, pointing the way.
What do you think Max will find on his adventure? Max followed the compass as it led him through his backyard. He climbed over the old stone fence and into the woods beyond. The trees were tall and thick, their branches forming a leafy canopy overhead. Sunlight dappled the forest floor, creating a mosaic of light and shadow. The compass led Max deeper and deeper into the woods. He followed the winding path, his heart pounding with excitement. He ducked under fallen logs, hopped over babbling brooks, and squeezed between prickly bushes. The woods were full of strange and wonderful sights.
Squirrels chattered from high in the trees.
Birds sang beautiful songs.
Max even saw a deer with big brown eyes watching him from a distance. What will Max find next on his adventure?
Max stopped to catch his breath. He looked down at the compass. The needle was spinning again, faster and faster. It was pointing in all directions at once. Max frowned. What is it trying to tell me, he wondered aloud. He looked around, trying to see if anything seemed familiar from the map. Suddenly, he noticed something strange. There, in the middle of the path, was a small wooden signpost. It was old and weathered, but the writing on it was still visible. Max squinted at the signpost. It read, "Go to the wisest creature in the woods and ask for guidance." Max scratched his head. "The wisest creature in the woods," he repeated. Who could that be?
Where do you think the compass will lead Max next?
Max thought long and hard. He knew the woods were full of animals, but which one was the wisest? He had heard tales of cunning foxes, clever owls, and even the mysterious deer. But none of them seemed to fit the description of the wisest creature in the forest. He closed his eyes and thought back to all the stories his grandpa had told him about the forest. His grandpa's voice echoed in his mind, recounting the legends of the forest's ancient inhabitants. Suddenly he remembered. His grandpa used to talk about a wise old oak tree deep in the heart of the woods. He said the tree had seen centuries pass and knew all the secrets of the forest. Max opened his eyes and looked at the compass. The needle was still spinning, but it seemed to be pulsing with a faint blue light. Max took a deep breath and started walking in the direction of the pulsing light. He wasn't sure if he would find the wise old oak tree, but he was determined to try. After all, this was an adventure. The forest seemed to whisper around him, encouraging him to continue his quest. Do you think the wise old oak tree will help Max? Will it share its ancient wisdom with the young adventurer? Only time will tell as Max ventures deeper into the heart of the forest, guided by the mysterious blue light and his unwavering determination. Max walked for what seemed like hours, his feet crunching on the forest floor, the sound echoing in the stillness. The forest grew darker and denser with each step, the air thick with the smell of pine needles and damp earth. The mist hung low, creating an eerie atmosphere that made Max's heart race. Just when he was about to give up, feeling the weight of the forest pressing down on him, he saw it. Standing tall and proud in a clearing ahead was the biggest oak tree Max had ever seen. It seemed almost magical, bathed in a soft, ethereal light. Its branches, heavy with age, reached out like long, gnarled fingers towards the sky, as if trying to touch the heavens. Max felt a strange sense of peace as he approached the tree, a calmness that washed over him, easing his tired muscles. He placed his hand on the tree's rough bark, feeling the ancient wisdom that seemed to pulse through it. "Excuse me, wise old oak tree," he said politely, his voice barely a whisper in the vast silence of the forest. "I'm looking for the next part of my treasure map. Can you help me?" His words hung in the air, filled with hope and desperation. The wind rustled through the leaves of the tree, and Max thought he heard a voice whisper, "Solve my riddle, and the way will be revealed." Max looked down, his heart pounding with anticipation. Carved into the tree's roots was a riddle. The words seemed to glow faintly, inviting him to solve the mystery. What will the riddle be? Max wondered, his mind racing with possibilities. The answer could be the key to his quest. Max read the riddle aloud. "I have cities, but no houses, forests, but no trees, water, but no fish. What am I?" Max scratched his head. That was a tricky one. He thought about the riddle for a moment. He closed his eyes, picturing the words in his mind. Finally, it hit him. "A map!" Max exclaimed. "The answer is a map!" As soon as he said the words, the ground beneath the oak tree began to tremble. A small wooden box, hidden among the roots, slowly rose from the earth. Max carefully lifted the lid of the box. Inside, nestled on a bed of soft moss, was another piece of the treasure map. Max couldn't believe his luck. The compass had led him to the right place, and he had solved the riddle. Max excitedly unfurled the new map piece and placed it alongside the first, his fingers trembling with anticipation. The two pieces fit perfectly, revealing more of the path towards the treasure. The intricate details on the map began to form a clearer picture, showing landmarks and hidden clues. This section of the map showed a treacherous climb up a rocky mountain, with the path disappearing into a dark cave at the very top. The cave entrance looked ominous, almost as if it was daring Max to enter. "Wow," Max said, his eyes wide with anticipation. He could almost feel the cool, damp air of the cave and hear the echo of his footsteps inside. He couldn't wait to see where the map would lead him next. The thrill of the unknown filled him with excitement and a sense of adventure. But the sun was starting to set, casting long shadows through the forest. The golden light filtered through the trees, creating an almost magical atmosphere. Max knew he couldn't continue his adventure in the dark. The forest at night was a different world, full of unseen dangers and eerie sounds. He carefully placed the map pieces back in his pocket and turned to thank the wise old oak tree. The tree had been his silent companion, offering shade and a sense of security, but the clearing was empty. The spot where the oak tree had stood was now just a patch of bare earth. The oak tree had vanished. Max rubbed his eyes, unable to believe what he was seeing. Max shivered, suddenly feeling very small in the growing darkness. The forest seemed to close in around him, the shadows growing longer and more menacing. He decided to head home and start fresh in the morning. The promise of a new day gave him a small measure of comfort. Will Max find his way back through the woods? The path seemed to twist and turn, each step taking him deeper into the unknown. And what dangers await him in the shadowy cave at the top of the mountain? The thought of the cave sent a shiver down his spine, but also filled him with determination. Stay tuned for the next exciting chapter of Max's adventure. The journey is far from over, and many more surprises await.